What's up everybody and welcome to another edition of AGR'S Pop Culture Reviews. As I mentioned in my previous review, I'm sure as it was for you guys, Robotech was a pretty big influence when I was a young kid. It also broke me from that mold of the episodic cartoons in which nothing really had any relevance. Robotech had a storyline and it followed it. Each episode would essentially progress from the last episode, which is something that I hadn't really experienced, and as a result it made me be a lot more sophisticated in the anime and the cartoons that I demanded as a kid. And to be honest with you, because I demanded more in terms of the sophistication of the storylines, I think it planted a seed in my head about being a critic later on in the future. Who knows how these things work out, right? Although Commander Roy Fokker was definitely one of my favorite characters, the main protagonist in the Macross saga is definitely Rick Hunter, and when we first meet him he's kind of a novice pilot, though his skills are pretty badass. His introduction to the series was done so well, and he literally got a crash course in what would be known as a top secret battleoid. So today we're going to review the Calibre Wings Robotech 1/72nd scale limited edition F-14 Type J. Let's take a closer look. Now, without question, the paint scheme of Skull Leader has always been a fan favorite, but for me personally, one of the things that always caught my eyes was definitely Rick Hunter's VF-1J version. I just love the color palette. Now, the Type J is very similar to the Type S in every way, right down to the minute detail. The color scheme is the only difference here, but it is still incredibly detailed. The panel lines are great. I actually displayed this with the canopy down just so that you can see what it looks like. For some reason, the little details like the reflectors and the no-step signs really accent that red color and it makes it pop out. It just looks spectacular, guys. One of the things that I really remarked on the previous model is definitely the surface area. Here it's spectacular once again. I love the contrast between the red and the white. It really makes the panel lines stand out a little more. There's a lot of room for customization, guys, and I actually know another YouTuber that does his own custom washes and custom little details. You've got to check it out. It's really awesome. I'll put a link in the description. I can only imagine how awesome he'll make this thing look. Now this time around, for the purposes of this review, I wanted to kind of defang the F-14 just to show you what it looks like without all the armaments, because I think it is spectacular as well. As you can see here, we have the exposed landing gear and we also have the exposed jets, and I have to tell you, the decals on the side are really fantastic. I also have to praise the subtle details, and that's what this piece is all about. Things like the landing gear doors look really nice accented with that red. It's just a really nice touch. Now I wanted to show you just how far the wings can swing open. This swept wing design is truly amazing, and it does have a huge wingspan. Additionally, the movement in the wings, or the articulation, is not monolithic, so to speak, so if you move one wing, the other wing will follow. Again, one of the things that I recommended from the previous diecast model is that you definitely want to have a mirrored back so that you can reflect the engines and whatnot, because they are pretty spectacular, something that I didn't focus on too much. The paint job here is amazing, guys, especially when the afterburner is at full thrust. It just looks great, and they really capture the incredible amount of force that the F-14's power plant can produce. And again, just like the previous S-Type, this is a very handsome profile. It looks really amazing. I love the line art here. The sculpt overall is fantastic, and it's definitely a showstopper in my opinion. So if you have the ability to do so, make sure that you mirror this thing, make sure that you have a mirrored base, and definitely put it under the right lighting, because it will reflect this piece and it will look amazing, guys. Now in my previous video, I don't think I really did it justice in terms of how many accessories comes with this piece, so I decided to literally lay it all out for you. Now you do get the landing gear, or the ones that you can swap out so that you can retract the landing gear, which is awesome. The 2 fuel tanks, 6 Phoenix missiles that you can put on the pylon next to the wings or underneath the fuselage of the aircraft, and you also get 2 additional thrusters so that if you want to display it in a landing mode, you can do so. And this piece also comes with that base that I talked about in the previous review. Now, it is sturdy in terms of the overall materials, but again, the engineering is a little bit weird, and in my opinion, I think I would rely on an acrylic base that has a rubber stop at the end, particularly one that has 3 prongs, just for a little bit more security. Now, you might be asking yourself why I didn't take the pilots out of the bag this time. And the honest truth is, in the previous review, I took it out and they didn't seal it right. So these pilots went flying all over the place, and it took me an hour to find all the pieces. So be very careful, guys, but you also get those additional pilots, 1 seated that can be put in the cockpit, and 2 standing that you can put outside of the aircraft if you want to do a diorama. Just be very careful, guys. Now, rounding out the last accessory is the little plastic card that you get with the aircraft. Again, it's a shame that it's not made out of metal, but it does have a nice schematic of the aircraft. It does read Robotech, F-14, it does have the count of your piece, they're limited to 2,000 pieces, and that really nice Robotech logo. So I'm just going to reiterate my previous recommendation. This is a holy grail piece because of the limited run and how unique it is, particularly in this paint scheme. For those of you who are fans of Robotech, Macross, whatever you want to call it, or Rick Hunter's version of the VF1J, this is definitely a piece for you. Now before I go, I just want to send a real special shout out to the folks over at Big Bad Toy Store for sending this wonderful piece over for review, and if you're interested in this and other collectibles, please visit www.bigbadtoystore.com. Alright everybody, so that's my official review on the Calibre Wings Robotech 1/72nd scale limited edition F-14 Type J. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next AGR's Pop Culture Reviews.